What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to show you how you can take one single piddly little kick and snare pattern and turn it into literally dozens of different grooves. We're going to take a kick and snare pattern and couple it with a whole bunch of different cymbal patterns played on either the hi-hats or the ride cymbal, and when we're playing on the ride cymbal, we can even play between the two different zones, like the bell and the body of the cymbal, and if our right hand is over here, then that frees up our left foot to do some things over here. And to add some spin to this whole concept, we are going to use a kick and snare pattern that is in 7/8. This demonstrates a process that I use all the time when I'm composing parts for the bands that I play in. If I don't love an initial idea, I'll run it through this process to see what comes out. And a lot of the time, I end up stumbling across certain combinations that I don't think I would have encountered by just sort of messing around. To start, we'll define all of the different cymbal patterns that we'll use. So starting on the hi-hats, we'll begin with eighth notes, then we'll go into quarter notes, then we'll play on the eighth note up beats, just the and of every beat, and then there are two different 3/16th rhythms, and then finally steady 16ths on the hi-hats. I'm just going to do two measures of each pattern, and I'm going to cycle through all of them with a really simple rock beat in 4/4. So let's get to the meat of this. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to use a kick and snare pattern that is in 7/8. So the kick and snare rhythm that we'll use on its own sounds like this. Since the kick-snare pattern is an odd meter, it's not going to always resolve at the same time as the hi-hat pattern does. So with the quarter notes on the hi-hats, for example, in the first measure, the hi-hats land on all of the odd-numbered beats, and then in the second measure, it flips to all of the even-numbered beats. But it sort of feels like it flips between playing on the down beats and then playing on the up beats. And then it all lines up together on beat one after two measures. Same thing is true for starting with the eighth note up beats or either of those 3/16th patterns. So when we combine that kick snare pattern with all of these different little hi-hat patterns, we get things that sound like this. Alright, so depending on the hi-hat pattern that we use, it kind of gives the kick-snare pattern a little bit of a different feel. Kind of gives things a little bit more dimension. Next, I'm going to take all the patterns that I was just playing on the hi-hats and I'm going to move them over to the ride cymbal. And even though they're the same patterns, when we're on the ride cymbal, we have a little bit of a different feel, and we get some texture because of the sustain. Now, when we're playing on the ride cymbal, we could actually switch between a couple different zones of the cymbal. So there, I was just playing toward the edge, but we can also include the bell of the cymbal. Since the sound of the bell really cuts through a lot more, we could kind of treat hitting the bell almost like playing an accent on the ride. So if I take most of those same cymbal patterns, but I split them between playing on the bell and the body of the cymbal, we get a different texture, and we can still further alter the feel of this kick snare pattern. So I'll start playing eighth notes on the ride cymbal, but I'm going to alternate between playing on the bell and on the body. So it'll feel like I'm kind of accenting the downbeats on the bell, and then we can flip that and accent the upbeats on the bell. Now, playing both quarter notes and the upbeats on the bell might kind of feel a little redundant since they're constantly switching back and forth between landing on the downbeats and landing on the upbeats. But once we start including the left foot on the hi-hat pedal, we get all kinds of different interactions between the ride cymbal and the hi-hats. So it's good to learn both. Same thing is true with those 3/16 rhythms. The accent on the bell feels like it switches from the downbeats to the upbeats. So why would you practice both da-da-ding, da-da-ding, and ding, da-da-ding, da-da? Same reason as when we're playing quarter notes on the bell. Once we start including the left foot, we're going to have different interactions between the right hand and the left foot. You'll really want to practice everything that I just mentioned. Alright, now it's time to get the hi-hat pedal involved. So I'm going to take all of the same patterns that I was just playing between the bell and body of the ride cymbal, and I'm going to pair them with 3 different patterns played with my left foot. The first pattern that I'm going to play with my foot is just steady eighth notes. So the left foot and right hand patterns are going to resolve every 2 measures of 7/8. Next, I'm going to reduce the rhythm of my hi-hat pedal to only quarter notes. Now, just because your foot is doing less doesn't mean that this is any easier. And I find this to be a lot more challenging because you have to be much more deliberate with the placement of your hi-hat steps. You just can't rely on pulsing your foot up and down. So quarter notes with the left foot paired with all these different ride zone patterns sounds like this. And last but not least, with my left foot, I'm going to switch between stepping on the pedal and then splashing the hi-hats by kicking my heel into the bottom of the pedal. Now the hi-hat foot is essentially playing a rhythm that is 2 quarter notes long, so it's going to take 4 measures of 7/8 before the left foot and the right hand all resolve again. This process works just as well with grooves in 4/4 or in any time signature, really. It's a very flexible process, and again, I use it all the time in my own music. To get the most out of this process, mess around running a whole bunch of different kick and snare patterns through it and see what comes out the other side. If you like what you saw in this video, check out my Patreon page. Your support grants you access to transcriptions for this video, as well as transcriptions for all my other lesson videos. And follow me on Instagram @drummerhard to see more videos of my playing. I also teach private lessons both in person and remotely, so if you'd like to study with me one-on-one, send me a message and we'll get something set up. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.